Hello everyone. Welcome to my book club number 17. This is the book, A Radical Awakening. Come on in. We're going to discuss one of the core topics in the book. If you bought it, if you've read it, leave a review on Amazon. You know that these reviews are what people read. So make sure you share your thoughts or your inspirations on Amazon. That's always lovely when people do that. Book club number 17 is about to start on A Radical Awakening. You finished it today, Almeida. Fabulous. What was your biggest aha? What was your biggest takeaway? So, good to see you all coming in. Hi, Susie Katz. Hi, guys. So, let's talk about one of the key concepts in this book that I keep seeing over and over and over with my clients. And what is that? That is the utter and blatant abdication of our power to others. Simply put, we give our power away to others. And this is what causes profound inner disconnection. This regular, constant abdication, right? We give up our throne, we give up our crown to others in our lives, causes a profound and perennial disconnect. And if you ask me, what is the main problem of most of the people who come to see you in therapy? It's utter loss of power. Yeah, that's what I get paid for, helping people rediscover who it is they are. You would think it's so simple, but it's not. It is a ubiquitous, deep-rooted, insidious illness in our culture. So when people say, oh, the greatest love of all is unconditional love. The greatest cure to all troubles is unconditional love. Yeah. Have you ever really loved anyone unconditionally? It's really hard. Except maybe your children. And even your children, a lot of conditions. Unconditional love is impossible. Well, please don't think you love anyone unconditionally. Especially the adults in your life. Except your children. Your children, maybe on a really good day, you could love them unconditionally. But the adults in your life, it's really hard. Do you know why? Because to reach a state of unconditional love, you have to be it. In order to be in a state of unconditional love, you have to embody it. In order to embody a state of unconditional love, you have to be it for yourself. And nobody really unconditionally loves themselves, do they? Now, if you do, you've won the lotto. Your purpose here on earth has been sated. But this is the ubiquitous problem. So Mystic Monica says, mind-blowing your book. Thank you. I'm so happy you're resonating with the book. So the constant giving up of our power to others. Who in here has done that many times in their life? Give their power to others. So because we were raised often under the tyranny of our parents' rule, of our parents' unabating expectations, under the rule of their fantasies, under the rule of their traditions, under the dictates of their conditional love and unconscious love, we, my whole life, we learned to relate to others through the same dynamics. We either take the position of power, dominance, or submission. With some people, we are in the power of dominance or submission. We women in particular are really good, quickly, at occupying the position of submission. Because of the cultural patriarchy, because of the way we were raised to be good girls, we are very quick and very good at constantly giving our power away. We just give it away. You know, they say jump, we say how high. And some really traumatized, pathetic version of that, where you wonder, like, am I like traumatized? What is wrong with me? And I may be projecting, because that's how I lived a lot of my life. I just thought that if somebody needed something, here I was. If somebody told me something about myself, I believed it. Zero discernment. Because at the deepest level, I had been conditioned to give my power away. I was throwing pennies in the fountain, hoping for a genie to come out. And so it is to all of us. Yes, we are encouraged to sacrifice. When good girls sacrifice, good girls compromise. But even more than that, it's just that we were trained to give our inner knowing away. If somebody else spoke with authority around us, we're like, they know more. If somebody told us we didn't know anything, we're like, okay, we don't know anything. And it's amazing how we don't retaliate. We don't rebel against that. Lazette Tika says, I've always sacrificed for the other and now I'm turning the turnstile. So we just give it away. There's no hesitation. There's no fight. There's no rebellion. There's no protection. And this giving away of power, robotic giving away of power, is a habit now. And we give it away. You know, the other day I had a client who was talking about her child's teacher. I promise you, if you heard her, it was as if she was talking about the king of the entire world. It was a male teacher who was having issues with her son, and the woman was upset about it, so she was discussing it with me. But she was so scared to talk to the teacher, and I said, is the teacher your teacher? No. Is the teacher your principal? No. Is the teacher you're the governor of the country or the city you live in, or the mayor of the city you live in? No. Is the teacher your husband, your father? No. So why can't we go and talk to the teacher? She's like, I don't know. Because as a little girl, she was terrified of her teacher. So she's terrified of the teacher now at like 42. And listen, we're all there. We all want approval from our children's teacher. Right? The teacher should know I'm a good mother. Why? Because we were raised in an education system which was hierarchical and pedantic and linear, and we thought they were greater than us, the teachers. Now, the teachers can be damn good, but they're not greater than anybody. Nobody's greater than anybody, right? We're all just kind of human, fumbling around, doing this thing called life, right? And doing a pretty bad job at it, if I may say so. And of course, there's no bad or good, but not really doing a great job. So we are terrified of those that we put on a pedestal. And we've been raised to put anyone who has a position of authority on a pedestal. But not even people who have positions of authority. Our partners, our friends' parents, our children's friends' parents. We want to impress the moms in the schoolyard. We want to impress the teacher in the parent-teacher meeting. We want to impress the girlfriend of the son and the parents of the girlfriend of the son, because we constantly are seeking validation from strangers or from loved ones. We are constantly indoctrinated to give the power away. Now, until we recognize this in ourselves, until we see how we don't put up a fight, until we allow people to just roughshod over us, to tell us what we think, to tell us how to think, we will not disrupt our patterns. But we've been trained to sit silent in the classroom, to sit silent in church and synagogue and temple and mosque. We've been trained to go on our knees. We've been trained to not rebel. Now, we don't have to be angry lunatics, but we got to have a rebellious, curious, questioning spirit. You know, I always use the analogy of the emperor's got no clothes. The fable by, I think it's Hans Christian Andersen, where the emperor was surrounded by yes men, And everyone was like, yes, you're wearing clothes. Yes, you're wearing clothes. Except when the children saw the emperor, the children are like, why is the emperor naked? And the emperor's like, I'm wearing amazing clothes. Right? The emperor's a deluded narcissist, arrogant as can be, so silly. All the yes men were following him, except it was the children. Yes, baseline 907. You have to buy the book. Has anyone here bought a book? I'm watching you now. Now you got to go buy the book. So the emperor's new clothes. Yes. So the children, and the reason why it's such a profound story is that Hans Christian Andersen used the children because the children are not yet fully conditioned by the bullshit. The adults are. And that's why the children squealed and said, oh my God, the emperor's naked. And the emperor's like, what? Take these rude pests away from here. Because children, or Andy from The Office, or Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, yes, those who don't stop at the obvious answer. Now, those people are pains in the, you know what. But we need them because culture is predicated on civility, that we follow greed, power, and domination. So if somebody is in a position of power, we blindly follow. We do not blindly follow. We do not, because culture has so much toxicity that if you blindly follow, you are going to be a slave. So, part of the radical awakening that I talk about here is I help you realize that you've been living in a caustic matrix of fear. And until you realize that it's not because you're an anxious person, it's because the fear has been shoved into you. It's because culture has injected fear on steroids into you, that you then begin to realize, wow, I'm really not an anxious person. I've been freaking conditioned to be afraid. And therefore, I can do something about it. That is the start of the radical awakening. So, culture trains us girls to forsake authenticity for goodness. We are brainwashed to believe that the greatest thing we can be is a good girl. And so in order to be the good girl, we will do whatever it takes, even if it means lying to ourselves. I say that in the name of peace, we wage war against ourselves because we've been so trained to think that peace is more important, goodness is more important than authenticity. We are actually killing ourselves in bloodshed on the battlefield in the name of peace, in the name of goodness. So we have to realize it's all a bunch of lies that we've been told. And we've been told that we are wrong. We've been told that we are anxious. Something is wrong with us. So as long as we believe that we are sinners, something is wrong with us, we will keep in the hamster wheel of consumption and drugged out opiates in order to take away the sinner inside us. We're not sinners. Nothing is wrong with us. We're not anxious. We've been conditioned to believe something is wrong with us, and this is the great tragedy. And because of the conditioning, because of the habit, we now do it to ourselves. We give up our power, I'm telling you, like pennies in the fountain in Italy. You know, we just throw it in the fountain for free. If somebody tells us something about ourselves, we believe that we should believe it. It's as simple as that. If you went for a lunch today and 3 of your 4 friends told you that they didn't like you because you're just selfish and you're just arrogant, you're going to believe it. Now, I'm not saying to simply not believe it. Take it in, observe, you know yourself, see if there's any truth to it, take feedback, but then come back to your own judgment of yourself. But we are conditioned that if somebody on the outside tells us that we are not good enough, we're going to go into a cauldron of despair. And this is the conditioning. You're conditioned to go into the cauldron of despair. That's what magazines count on. That's what the cosmetic industry counts on. It makes women's hair all shiny and fake and glossy. So when you see it, you're like, dang, I don't have that hair. I need to go buy it. So then you go buy. Or you watch someone on TV and you buy their reality life, their real life, and you don't have that life, so you go buy it. Or you become really anxious about it. Half, if not all, our anxiety has been put into us. My fourth book is co-authored with a wonderful woman named Rini. And Rini and I wrote a book called Superpowered for children to combat their anxiety. And basically the premise of the book is that their anxiety is not abnormal. How can you not be anxious? This world is insane. It is designed for you to be anxious so that you can consume, so that the cycle of overproduction and overconsumption continues. So we are pawns within a system of global greed and domination. But until we realize that we're playing the game, we're going to keep playing the game because we don't even realize it's a game. First, we need to realize it's a game. Then we need to realize that we are participating in the game. And then the third step is then we need to ask ourselves if we want to continue. So the world needs a radical awakening. But the only way we can achieve a tipping point of radical awakening is if each one of us wakes up to the lies of culture. Culture's goal is only one: mass control. How? Through breeding competition, comparison, insecurity, fear, and anxiety. Right? Anyone who has a kid in America knows that the whole college education system breeds anxiety in your elementary school kid. And you as a parent are a pawn to the college system. Colleges rule the schools. Schools rule childhood. That rules parenthood. And we're all slaves. But if we don't see through it, we just are part of the system. We don't see that it's a game. So I always say that, my daughter was in 11th grade during the pandemic, and it was the optional grade for SATs. And I was like, blimey, look at this. Suddenly, the holy grail of the SATs and ACTs are optional. And colleges were writing to us saying, we look at the holistic development of the child. Do not worry if you have not taken the SATs or ACTs. We look beyond the score into who the children really are. I was like, what bloody bullshit. You didn't say this before, but now you have to say it because you have no choice. There was no SATs or ACTs. So, hypocrisy abounds. But now, we're going to go back into the real world. The SATs and ACTs have again come back, like as if they were not taken away. Suddenly, we need them to assess the holistic nature of your child. Sorry, we need them again because the college board makes money of it. The colleges get to screen you and get to decide based on their own algorithm that no one really knows. And the money gets churned. And then you have tutors, then you have prep schools. Oh, then it's a big multi-dollar business. If you take away the test, then where's the anxiety? If there's no anxiety, there's no business. So everything is based on anxiety. I say that it's the parenting industrial complex. We parents are the biggest pawns because we're such idiots. We want our children to be superstars. So because we want desperately for our children to be superstars, be something significant, please, we'll do anything. So we throw our children into the slave machine of education and we call it real life. So now the SATs and ACTs have come back. Okay, by the way, it was just in my lucky year that we didn't have it. Now they need it again. Just to show you it's all arbitrary. It's just made up by the winds of the tide, the winds of the winds. And it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really mean anything. But we take it to mean the Holy Grail. So the parent has to change the system. To say, you know what, I don't buy into all this. It is what it is. The kid can go, get whatever, and it is whatever. But because we're so manic and we're so anxious because we want our kid to be so special, we play into the game. And it's all money changing hands all the time. But that's just one institution. All the institutions that we have, all of them, and you can debate with me one day maybe, all of them are based on mass control. And if you don't see through how the system is trying to control you, you will have anxiety because the system is based on anxiety. So there is no two ways about it. If you're a pawn in the system, you will have high anxiety. Oh, you don't want to have high anxiety? You got to break free from the system. But you cannot break free from the system if you want to be part of the system. And then you want to be part of the system, high anxiety, high guilt, high shame, high anxiety, high failure, high stakes. Because the system is set up for high stakes. And there's no way everybody can win. So therefore you're going to lose, therefore you're going to have anxiety. And if you don't see it, you'll think something is wrong with you. On a recent flight, I saw The Weight of Gold. It's a series it was on Delta. If you want to see it on Netflix, I don't know whether it's available, but you should go see Weight of Gold. There's a lot of rain. I don't know whether you can hear the, let me see if I put this on because I feel like I'm screaming. Can you hear the rain? Somebody say yes, I can hear the rain, so I know what you're saying yes to. Can you still hear me? So what do? First, we become aware that we are in the matrix. First, can you hear me though? Okay. First, we have to be aware that there are these systems, which are these bubbles or cages that we willingly walk into, generation after generation. And these cages are designed for claustrophobia. You cannot be in a cage and go, oh, why am I not able to breathe? Because you're in a cage in the gutter, below the basement. And you're like, why can't we breathe? Because the cage doesn't have fresh air. We are living in cages and wondering, why are we so anxious? Why can I not breathe every day of my life? Why am I claustrophobic? Why do I need medication? Because you're in a cage in the gutter beneath the basement. No air. These systems are cages under the basement in the gutter. They are designed for claustrophobia. They're designed for anxiety. And if you don't see through it, you will be a pawn, popping your pills, dying, suppressing yourself, and wondering what the hell is wrong with you. And there's nothing wrong with you. You're just a really good girl playing the game in the system. That's all you are. You're like Truman in the Truman Show. And you don't realize you're in a total movie being produced and scripted by others. And you're wondering, this doesn't feel right. And our children, they see it. They know it. They want to break free. But we call them rebellious and we take them to a therapist and then we medicate them. So until we begin to see in our own micro lives how we give up our power like pennies in a fountain, there will be no global awakening. Because there is no global awakening until we awaken, until we individually awaken. And that's why I wrote this book, A Radical Awakening. It's a punch. It's not an easy read. But if you are a seeker, if you really want to wake up, then you're going to appreciate the challenge that this book gives you. A Radical Awakening. Thank you for being with me today in my book club number 17. And I will see you when I see you. Bye, guys.